Okay, so as I was saying, if you have not watched lesson 10 before coming to watch this particular lesson, then I will entreat you to do so, because this lesson is a continuation or is a further um, look at lesson 10. Lesson 10, I only talked about the theory, but now we are going to be looking into the practicals on the chart. Okay, that means we are going to be looking at the whole thing as it plays out on the real chart. So remember the rules I gave in the lesson 10, that is the theory aspect, as to how to find a valid pullback and how to know if a pullback is invalid to be considered a pullback. All right. And I told you guys that when we are in a bearish market, we only confirm a pullback when the current candle takes the previous candle's high. Okay, when that happens in a bearish market, then we said that pullback is a valid pullback. But where we have a situation, when we have a situation where the market or the current candle couldn't take the high of the previous candle, then we know that this particular um, pullback is not a pullback but an internal movement that is happening around the previous candle. And I told you that when we are in a bullish momentum, then we are looking at the previous candle taking out the low of the current candle taking out the low of the previous candle that was forming. All right, so based on that, we are going to mark our chart. We are going to mark our structure based on candlesticks. Okay, so this structural marking is based on candlestick, because we are going to use this to advance to the next lesson. So what is going to happen is that after this lesson, I'll upload the video for recording for this lesson. Then I'll record lesson number 12, which will be the theory aspect for the advanced structural uh, market structure using inducement and break of structure. All right. So now, if this is your first time here on this meeting, note that this particular um, free training is sponsored by Derif and Accurate Pips, and my name is Prof. You can just call me Prof, or you can call me Prof. Dr. Trillion Pounds. Anyone that you want, you can just call me by that name. All right. So now, if you don't have an account with Derif, if you go to our YouTube session, I'll leave a link in the description when I upload this video. So sign up with them and prepare that after this lesson, you will start trading and start making some cool cash for yourself. All right. So those of you who um, already know how to go price action, like normal price action, is important to understand certain things, because they might not I might not teach them based on the way you used to know them. Okay, it's different. Okay, there is difference in how I teach this thing. This is pure smart money concept teaching. Okay, all right, please, once you are on the call, make sure you mute yourself. All right, so let's come to the chart. Let's start with here. So let's see this movement. This movement is a bullish movement. So if we are to mark this particular chart using impulse correction, using the candlesticks, then you start from this point. Okay, so I'm going to use my distance. So this is the first low in the market. Then we will now look for the next area where there
Moses,
is
you
a
can't see your
pullback.
chart.
So I can't see your screen. Oh.
Oh, sorry.
You have been talking like 5 hours. No screen.
All right, sorry about that. Let me share your screen. Oh, but the previous things I was talking about is just a recap of the thing I taught in the this thing. So please, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I think I can proceed now.
Yes, please.
All right. Now, because we are using candlesticks to determine these things, you should know that you have to sometimes zoom in or zoom out your chart to be able to get a very clear view of whatsoever you are doing. All right. So first of all, we are using this bullish area here. Okay, this area here. All right. Okay, to practice with on this example. And you can use this method of marking to mark the chart on any time frame. So we have here, this is our first low. So after this, now we want to see where did market pull back. Okay, where did a pullback occur? So to do that, I'll increase this because sometimes some of the wicks could deceive you. So you have to visualize the whole thing properly. So we can see market, this is the main candlesticks here from this low here. We have the next movement over here, and this you can see the low here has been taken out. Let me increase it well for you to see what I mean. You can see that this candle took out the low of this after it created this high. So this movement here is a valid or pullback. This is what I mean here. If we draw this, you can see that this wick here has taken the low of this guy. So that makes this, remember we are in an uptrend, so that makes this a valid pullback. So this means that this is our high that was created. This on daily time frame. Don't forget, I'm marking this on daily time frame. You can mark the chart using this methodology on any time frame at all. All right. So now, since here is our high, because we have this area being taken out, so this becomes our high. Then we have this high being taken out in this area by this massive movement. So after this movement, we need to look for the next pull back. Now, since here becomes a high, there must be a low that will cause the break of this high, and that this is the lowest point in the market. So that means we have our next low here. We have our next low here. Okay. Now, if we watch, you have to be sure that you are seeing. If you are not seeing it well, as I said, you zoom in very well to determine your wick. So as we can see, this place looks like almost an equal high, but then it's not an equal high. If you watch closely, this is not an equal high. Why? Because the red candle has taken the high of this, but then the red candle didn't take the low of this. Okay, so we can't confirm this as a full valid pullback yet. All right, but then if you consider this area, so that this blue candle has taken the low of this red candle, and do it based on the concept that we have learned, it means that this is now a valid, or this movement to here before the upward movement is now a valid pullback. So this means this is our new high being formed here, a new high being formed over here. Because this is the highest point. And then we have our lower point being formed here, because this is the lowest it came. So in this case, we are having something like this. Every candlestick matter on the chart. Okay, so even if it is one single candle that made the pullback, that's why we have these characteristics to confirm whether it is valid or not. Okay, so this is the highest point. So in this case, if we take this guy like this, it means we are having something like this movement being this way, like this, and then now this our current candle that breach here, it was taken out by this guy. But let's see if this next candle has taken the low of this guy. If it hasn't taken the low, then this is not what a valid pullback. And if none of them has taken the low before this movement, means we don't have a valid pullback here, but an internal hot movement. So let's see. Let's all see if uh, this is a valid pullback. So let me zoom in the chart. Let's take a close look at this. Okay, so if you put the cursor, you can see this red candle just took out the low of this blue candle. Okay, and this blue candle, because it has already taken the high here before pulling down, it means this candle is valid to be used as uh, the benchmark to determine whether there is a valid pullback here. And yes, there is a valid pullback because this red candle was able to take out the low of this guy, which means that this is our highest point before this happened. So that becomes our new high over here, and this here becomes our new low. All right, now let's move on. Now, if we get here, we see that this high, this particular high has now been taken out by this guy, and we can see the low of this guy has been taken out by this red candle, which means that we have created a new high in the market. Good. After the high has been created, because we have taken this guy, it means there is a valid pullback here. That is why we confirm that high. But then when we go into the advanced structure, if you continue the advanced structural marking, you realize that we'll be using this lower candlestick movements to determine where the inducements are in the market. All right. Okay, so now, though this guy is the one that created the valid pullback, this is the lowest point that market came to before taking out this high again. So this is the area that we will mark as our low. Now, despite the fact this session is lower than this session, okay, what we are going, what is happening here is this. For now, we are marking we are learning how to mark valid pullbacks and so on. If it were to be the advanced this area here will serve as an inducement to confirm this high, and then when this guy breaks out, we will confirm the break of structure. Okay, break of okay, since I have not come to that lesson, let me not bring it up until I do the lesson, so we don't get confused. So this was the previous high, now taking out, because this candle body has closed above it, as we learned from the last lesson. This one, the candle body didn't close above, but this one also didn't close it weak, but then this one has closed above, so we can now confirm the break of what? Of structure. Okay, now let's look for, you see, now this red candle is not a valid pullback. Why? Because this is the main candle that went up. Okay, the main candle that went up, and this didn't take the low of this candle. So this area here is not a valid pullback. So you know, just because it is a red candle, you go and mark it as a pullback. No, we don't do that. Okay, now one thing you need to know is pullbacks don't depend on the color of the candle. The color of the candle can be a bullish candle, but it will still become a valid pullback in a bullish trend if it takes out the previous candle's lower session. All right. Okay, so now where is the highest point? Because this our next candle also has not taken out the low of this candle, and this candle has also not taken the low of this candle, so we don't have any valid pullback until we got into this guy, whose low has been taken out by this red candle, confirming a valid pullback. All we need to do now is to look at where is the lowest point that market has gone to in this movement before taking out this highest point. Okay, so that session is where you have our next low located. Okay, you locate our next low in that session. All right, so now if we put our cursor, you can see that this is the lowest point. Okay, because this guy didn't take out the liquidity over here, so that is the lowest point. So we will mark here, that is our low in the market. And then now we can see market has successfully broken through. This guy has closed above the low, closed a candle body above the low, the high over here. So we can now say we are looking for a new high to be created. All right, now look at this. Despite the fact that this candle here has taken out the low of this is not a valid pullback. Why? Because this guy here, this first red candle, did not take the upper section of this main candle, and is not even an equal top with that candle. So since it was not since it is not an equal top, okay, with this candle, then that means its lower section taken by this candle is not a valid what this thing. So we call these two as an internal movement of this main candle, and because of that, this candle this candle taking out this low cannot be considered as a valid pullback. Please, I hope you guys are hearing me loud and clear. If you are hearing me very loud and clear, type 1 in the chat. Just type 1 in the chat if you are hearing me very loud and clear. All right, great. Thank you for the feedback. So now let's continue. So here you see that we only begin to see a valid pullback when we got to this candle, because once it's created, it took at least the high of this guy, and then it got created, and then this red candle took its low out. Once that happened, it means we have a valid pullback. But now we need to look at the lowest point the market went to before market begin to go up. So this is the highest point that the market came, right? And this is the lowest point market got to before going. So that point becomes our low, because this is the lowest point, and this guy becomes our highest point. Okay, so now let's go on to the next point. All right, now after market has taken out that level, we now have to look for another. So here there is no, because this guy over here, or you see, is not an equal high, and it is part of this leg. So this is a single leg movement and is part of the impulse. Okay, this pullback is part of this whole impulse that took out this high. So even if it is valid, there is a valid pullback there. It is an internal movement. Okay, an internal pullback movement. Okay, all right, so let's move on. All right, now if we see here to this candle, this one didn't take the low, but this red took the low of this guy over here. All right, and then we see this guy also taking out the high of this guy, but then it created an equal high with this guy, so it becomes one movement, and we see a movement that took out its low as well. So this is a valid pullback, but this is the lowest point of this pullback, giving us our low over here, and our previous our low over here, and our previous high will be at the point, the top there. All right, so this continues. If we see this square market, let me see, I think it has taken that high out, so let me confirm it. Let me zoom in. I like to look at the details. This is why I like using the trading view, so that, yeah, so this guy has taken this high out, okay, can swipe it, okay. Now what we are looking for is, did it close a candle body? No, it didn't close a candle body. All right, it didn't close a candle body, so that means it is still part of the single leg. This guy also didn't close a candle body above both this and this movement. Okay, it also just wick above it. So this is the main guy that closed a candle body above all of them. All right, so we will consider here as our main move. So it means that this whole movement here is a single leg, is the whole impulse from here to here. Just that we have minor movement, minor impulses in between them. Okay, let me admit some people. All right, so it means we have minor impulses between that movement that we are seeing in the market over here. All right, so it means that our new high that has been created will be located at this session. Okay, now immediately this guy created the high, you can see this red candle taking out the low of that, making it a valid pullback. And that also gives us this guy here as the lowest movement within this. But then as we got here, we can see there is another movement that is lower than this guy. So it means that this becomes our main lowest point before the next market move that closed a candle body above this guy, confirming the odds that this low is truly valid and giving us a break of structure in the market. All right, so now let's continue. Please pay close attention to this thing, because if you don't understand market structure, I'm sorry, but you'll be finding difficulties with your trading. Understanding this is very key, very, very key to you becoming very, very consistent in the market. I won't lie to you. So this was our high taken out. So now this our low created. Then we now move. As we can see, this one, the low has not been taken out. Here the low has not been taken out. The low has not been taken out until we got here, took out the low, and market single leg movement onto this session. So this is our new high created in the market here, because this is the point where we got to for market continue to take out this high, because there is a candle body close. This candle body close above this high, this blue one here. So it confirmed that, yeah, this is a true lower session in the market. We can just mark that session, and this continues, it repeats. It can be a single candle, but as long as the conditions are met for it to be qualified as a pullback, you mark it as a pullback. All right, so this session was where we got to, and as you can see, this is not a valid pullback. Okay, let me circle this movement here like this is not a valid pullback. The reason being that this is the main candle. This is the main candle, the blue candle there. But this blue candle, the next candle didn't take the low, and it wasn't even an equal high or even took out the high. If it were to take out the high before this guy rather took out this low, then this movement, whole movement, would have been a valid pullback. Okay, but because it is not, this becomes part of the single leg movement that created the high at the top here. Okay, our new high. All right, so take note, it doesn't matter how deep the market has moved, as long as the conditions we are looking for are not met, it is an invalid pullback. All right, so this is not our new high, but this is our new high. Now what is our new low? Because this has given us a confirmed odd pullback because it has taken out the low of this guy. So this is the deepest session that we got to, and that means that is our new low. Now let me explain this because we'll be coming there though, but let me explain. After this low was created, we are expecting market to go higher than this high to create the next high in the higher high in this movement. But realize market didn't get there. Okay, so there's something we call shift in market structure. This is telling us that market is beginning to shift from, so you see we have something like this. It's not even an equal high, but a slanted high, kind of an M formation that is not a straight form of M formation that has one leg taller than the other. Okay, when we see something like this, means we are beginning to shift in the market structure. We are changing structure from bullish to bearish. Okay, so that is one thing you need to understand. Now we confirm this low, all right, but it didn't create a new low, all right. So if market even take this guy out, this is what we call inducement. Okay, an inducement. But we will come to that session, and an inducement but has not created a high. If it were to create a high before it comes, then we break this high, we call it a valid inducement. So this type of inducement is not valid. But if market comes down, okay, market comes down and take out this low, then you now say the inducement has been created and it's a valid inducement. All right. Okay, so this is an example of how you mark structure on the bullish trend using the candlestick pattern. All right, so let me just zoom so that we can see how the whole thing look like. Note at the lower section here to look clumsy to you, but well, that is what it is. That is how it needs to look. So let's see. We have our low, high, low, high, low, high, deeper low, high, and then low. So I want to change the thickness to 2. Okay, so let's continue to look at that movement. All right, so we have this next high here, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, and high, and our low. All right, so this is how the bullish movement takes place when we are marking using the candlestick pattern. And know that you can mark this on all time frame, 1 second, 1 minute. You can use this same rules to mark on these lower time frames as well. Okay, you can use the same rules to mark on the lower time frames as well. So let's look at an example for the bearish. Okay, let's look at an example for the bearish. So let's say this market is coming down like this. Okay, down, 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 down. Okay, so let's just start from here using this example. So let's say this is our highest point. Then we now have to look for please I'll give time for questions. I just want to finish with the presentation first, then I'll give time for questions. Okay, so now remember I said when it comes to bearish, we are looking to take out the high. So we have this movement, the next movement, then this guy didn't take out this guy, but then he took out its low before this red guy took out the low, the high of the blue one, confirming a valid pullback. Okay, so this becomes our new high over here, and then confirming our new low over here, right? Now we move. The next time we see something similar is here. This guy, this is the lowest point, and then its high has been taken out by this guy. Okay, so we have a valid pullback, but this is the highest point, and this is the lowest point. It means we have created that next point in the market. Then we will continue again. Here there is no taking of high until we got here. Market took this low, and this guy took its high, but this is the highest point. But this high that was taking here makes this movement a valid pullback. All right, so that means we are going to have here as the lowest point and here as the highest point. Then now we begin to move. There is nothing like taking out of a high here. Let's see here. No, this guy didn't take out the high. But this guy here, there is no valid, because this is the main low, the blue candle here. The main thing, this red candle didn't take out its high, and therefore until we move through this area here, okay, because there is no equal high between these guys here. Okay, I think this blue guy took out the high of this guy. So now that doesn't make it a valid distance until this blue guy rather's high is taken out. But also wasn't taken out. We moved this red candle, also wasn't taken out. But the next red candle was taken out by this blue guy here. That confirms that what? That pullback. So this became our low, and it became our highest point here. And then we have this movement down, and this red candle's high was also taken by this blue candle, but this is the deeper point in this, and this is the lowest. So now when we go in the main structural movement, you realize that I'll be doing away with some of these guys. If it happens like this, I'll do away, because this becomes part of the single leg movement. Okay, and then we will work with this pullback. All right, so now as we can see, we have free movement until we get to this blue candle, because it was taking, if I let me zoom it in so that you see it very well. Yeah, as you can see, this blue candle here, the higher session there has been taken out by the wick of this candle, so therefore that is a valid pullback. But this is the lowest session, because this guy has wick down, so it's the lowest session before this is the highest point to give us our new high and our newest low. Then we have market movement. This is all single leg, because we haven't taken out this guy. So that is all single leg movement. So once we take out this guy, we now begin to look out for the next pullback, where here we have this red candle taking the high of this guy. So making this valid pullback. Now we came down here, and then we can see market take out this high, but then I'll still consider it as part of this single leg, because we have not closed properly below this guy. That's no candle body closing properly below that guy there. So I will see it as part of the single leg movement. Now when we come down here and here, so this is our next pullback level over here, and this its lowest point over here. So let me mark that low, high. Then we have another lowest point over here, but that point didn't give us any valid pullback. No valid pullback. All these are internal movements. Okay, internal movement. So when this happens like that, normally people shift, there are people who shift their structural formation over here. Okay, because after this there's no proper how do I call it, pullback. So it means this whole thing becomes an embodiment of this valid pullback here. So like one single leg, it becomes a whole one single leg like this. Are you with me, guys? So let me delete this. So here you just take out this guy, which means that your newest high itself is here and the lowest point it went to is here. It confirmed the structural movement over here. Remember, this guy has not been closed by a candle body low. That is why we can now add it as a single leg movement. Okay. Oh, sorry. So here. All right. So now let's move on. We move and then we can see this is all single leg because we've not taken out this low. But as soon as we take out this low, that's when we begin to look for our pullbacks. All right. So remember, we are in a downtrend. So here we can see the body closed over here. All right. So now this is interesting now. So I think I have a very concrete example here for the equal low. So if you see here, you can see this is an equal low over here between this red and blue candle. This is an equal low. So because they are equal low, once this red candle here took out the high of this blue candle, it gives us a confirmed pullback. Okay, but if they were not to be equal lows, then this would have been, these two would have been in the shadow of this guy, and this will continue to give us a single leg formation. All right. So that gives us our new low here, and this is the highest point before market went down. So our new, our new high over here. All right, let's move on. So after this high formation, this guy broke over here. So from here we can now begin to look for the next valid. So the next valid pullback is here. This blue guy has taken the high of this red. So this becomes our new lower point and our new higher point. All right, in the value, that's the highest in this movement. Okay, so now we move on, and you can see this market took out the low here. So now this guy, the top was broken. So this is a valid pullback, though it's a single candle. Remember, I told you it doesn't matter the number of candle. Once you confirm what you are looking for is a valid pullback. All right. So now these are the few examples we have for both the bearish and the bullish illustration. Okay, so if you take this guy, we can have something like this. So you see something like this, like that. Market movement creating the various highs and low. That is structure for you. And this advanced structure marking. Okay, if you remember, we look at the basic structure marking some few lessons, I think last 2 lessons or so. And this is the advanced one that we've gotten to now. So with that said, I'll open the floor now to questions. So if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and then you can ask, or you can just type it in the chat for me and then I'll read it and answer you. So if you have any question, please, you can ask. Yeah, I think somebody has unmuted him or herself, so let's hear you. Okay, it seems there is no question. And if there's no question, then we'll end the class for today.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prof.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, good evening, sir.
Evening.
Yeah. So in this case, how do you take a trade when you have not gotten the
Oh, we've not gotten there. Like all these things are just stages of analysis. Okay, you
is
need to understand them before you can even decide to take trade. Like things we have to look for. We don't use the structure to take trade. The structure gives us the backbone of the whole system. Okay, so this one is just one stage of the whole analysis process. It's because we are learning, that's why it seems to be a long process. All right, because I told you that there is a next thing that we'll be looking at, and you need to understand this to understand the next lesson. Please, are you clear on it? Okay, so I think the person type in the chat. So how do you use this concept to get entry points? So as I was saying, uh, it's a whole process we are in. We have not gotten to entries. I told you guys we've not gotten to entries. So when you get to entries, you begin to understand this thing. The next lesson I'll teach you, realize that you need this to be able to identify what we call inducement points in the market, inducement and liquidity levels in the market, and break of structure in the market. All right, accurately, like accurate inducement areas and accurate break of structural areas. This is why we are learning it, because if you remember, I started the whole thing from the beginning. Okay, all right. So Emmanuel, you raised your hand. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening, Prof.
Evening.
So I wanted to ask, so if the market is in a bullish trend, it's going to give us higher high and higher low, or going to give us lower high and lower low, or what?
Bullish trend gives you higher high and higher low, as we look at it in the this thing, in the basic market structure. I told you in an uptrend or in a bullish trend, we are looking at higher highs and higher lows, and in a downtrend, we are looking at lower highs and lower lows.
Okay, okay.
Yes, please. Yeah, please. Any other question?
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Sir, mine is an appeal. I
Okay.
think this lesson is better, maybe in a kind of a PDF, so that we can have to take our time to look at it. Apart from video, take our time to look at it, because there are some key points that we have mentioned here that we still need to digest very well. It's a lot inside this place. This lesson, there's a lot inside there.
You see, the issue is writing. Writing book is a whole thing. I am writing a whole forest book, but then the time is not there. Otherwise, I would have finished it long time ago. You see, people write book, but it's not an easy thing, especially to prepare lessons, come and teach you, and then write book at the same time. It's not an easy thing. Are you getting the point? So that is why I said when the videos are there, you can take them, write out the key points in your notebooks. It will really help. I don't know if you are getting my point.
Yes, sir. All right, I got it, sir. Okay, sir.
All right. Please, any other questions, suggestions, or contribution before we go? All right. So as I said before, remember, if you learn this thing, money, don't think about money now, because the knowledge is important. When you have the knowledge, getting money is not a problem. We have a lot of prop firms out there that you can get any amount of money you want from them to trade with. But if you don't have the knowledge, you go for the account and you fail. So get the knowledge and money will come for you to trade. With that, I said I will see you again in class on Saturday. But before we come to class on Saturday, I will upload the next theory by that will be by tomorrow morning. But this particular lesson will be uploaded this evening, and then I will send it to the page for those of you that were not able to join us, and those of you joined but you need to go and rewatch these lessons. Me, I've been telling you, Me myself, after teaching you, I rewatch the teaching. Oh, I'm telling you, those who are close around me know that when they come, sometimes I'll be watching the things, same things that I'm teaching, I'll be watching them again myself. All right. So have a nice evening, everybody, and take care of yourselves.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir.
You're welcome.